Hi, I'm Mike Bellevue. I'm the black powder editor for Guns of the Old West magazine. And today we're going to be shooting a little gem of the 19th century. This is Colt's 1862 police revolver. Now this is a 36 caliber 5-shot revolver. This is a replica, of course. It's made by Uberti in Italy, and it's imported into this country by Uberti USA. So let's take it out and see what it'll do. This was Colt's 1862 police model, and you might think this was kind of a small gun to be used by a police force, but actually it was probably a step up. Baltimore was the first city to actually outfit their policemen with firearms, and the firearm they chose was the 1849 Colt pocket model, a 31 caliber gun. So this 36 caliber gun, definitely a step up in power factor. Now this gun actually completed Colt's series of modernized, streamlined handguns. They started in 1860 with the Army model, which you see on the bottom here. Then in 1861 they came out with the Navy streamlined model, and in 1862 they brought out this police model. And this gun kind of had its inception back with the 44 caliber Colt 1860 Army. Because what they did with the 1860 Army is they took a Colt Navy revolver, 1851 Navy, in 36 caliber, and they expanded it to handle the 44 caliber Army cartridge. And they did that by bumping up the front of the cylinder and by cutting a step in the water table of the frame to accommodate that larger cylinder. And then they cut the forcing cone back on the barrel and did a couple of little things like that. So I guess Colt figured, well, you know, if that worked going from 36 to 44, maybe the same thing would work going from 31 to 36. So basically the 1862 police revolver is the Colt pocket model blown out to handle the larger 36 caliber ball. And you can see how they blew out the front of the cylinder and then stepped the frame with a cut to accommodate the larger cylinder, exactly like they did with the 1860 Army. It loads pretty conventionally, just like any other cap and ball revolver of the Colt type. One thing I want to show you though, because this is only a 5-shot, I am going to load all 5. And what I'm going to do to make it safe is I am going to drop the hammer on one of these safety pins. And we'll see if we can give you a decent look at it here. Right up here. At the bottom, if I can get the light on it, right at the bottom of that space between the chambers, there's a little pin. And here in the hammer face, I'll try to get this viable for you. Okay, here in the hammer face, there's a slot. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it on half cock, and then we're going to drop that so the slot goes right over the pin. And this is the way they would have done it in the 19th century. I mean, even on 6-shooters, we load them with 5 for, you know, cowboy action shooting and just for general safety these days. But to be honest with you, back in the 19th century, they would have loaded up every chamber on these cap and ball revolvers. They took too long to reload to give up a shot, and that's why they had those safety pins. So we're going to load all 5, and then we'll shoot them up. So first trick is to put it on half cock so the cylinder spins. Now, we're going to be loading with round balls and wads. Sometimes I grease, sometimes I use wads. So for this, we're going to be using these 375-inch round balls. We'll use 3F powder. We've got a flask here with a 20 grain spout, and that's what we're going to be pouring in. The wads, by the way, are ox yoke Wonder wads for 36 caliber. You can get them from Dixie Gun Works or Track of the Wolf. I think I got these from Track. I think these are a little bit pricey, and I may do a video on showing you how to make these, because there are some sources for pure wool felt that can have you making these quite a bit cheaper. And then we'll cap it up with number 10 caps, Remington number 10s, and we'll use one of these Ted Cash cappers. I prefer this one for wearing around my neck going up to the firing line if I'm shooting a cast match, because it's real easy. You just put a lanyard through that and it's very positive. This is what I use for reloading during matches and just for general futzing around like this, because it holds over 100 caps. So you can get a whole day shooting done. All right, let's load it up. We'll start off with the powder. All right, first thing we're going to do, cover this over, tip it upside down, and we'll get a load of powder in there. And we'll load our first chamber on the cylinder. So let's get it up where we can see it. There we go. Just pour it in. Pretty simple. Then we're going to take one of these Oxio quads. We'll just kind of put it in and get it started. It'll right itself when we get the ball going on it. Pop a ball on her. And then we're going to take the loading lever, get it well situated, and push it down, get a good crunch. And you can see I got that ring of lead shaved off, and that's what we want. So I'm going to do that 4 more times. We'll load up all the chambers and we'll be good to go. Okay, time to cap it. Now, these are very tiny openings for the caps, so we really can't get the big snail capper in there. We're going to use this Ted Cash inline capper to get our caps on. As I said, we're going to cap up every single one. So we got to get them all loaded up. Bring that guy around. Well, we're going to take the 1862 Police and put a few rounds downrange on Roy. He's about 15 yards out. So we'll see how we can do. Now, I got to be honest, this is the first time I've shot this gun. So I've got no idea where it's hitting. So we're going to be learning something together while I shoot this thing. Let's see how we do. Okay, this is a fairly common problem. Let me see if I can show you in here. There's a cap that fell off of the nipple after it was fired, and it got stuck right here in the action, and that stops us from firing again. I'm just going to flick it out with this. The reason that happens is because, remember I showed you that little space in the hammer there for putting on the pinholes? Well, the caps, when they fire, tend to push back into that space, and it grabs them just like a pair of pliers and pulls them off. Now the cure for that, which I would do if this gun was mine instead of a loaner, is to fill in that gap with JB weld. Now at that point I wouldn't be able to load 5 in it because I couldn't put it on the pins anymore. You can only make it safe by putting it on an empty chamber. But that's what I do with my other guns, and I'll show you back in the shop when we're at home. But let's put a couple more on Evil Roy here. So you get the exact same issue happening again. And that is the reason for filling these things in with JB weld, because if you don't, you put up with this sort of thing all the time. Okay, well, we're shooting quite a bit high, about 8 inches high and a little bit to the left. But that's the way these guns operated in the 19th century too. They were all sighted for long range. Well, to the left, you can see the hammer face of the 1862 Colt Police. And you can see that little slot that we were talking about. And that is what the caps push their way into and then get stuck. And when you cock it again, it pulls the cap right off of the nipple and drops it into the action. The gun to the right is an 1860 Army, and I filled in that slot with JB Weld epoxy, and you can see that little gray circle there. and that gives it a smooth hammer face and keeps it from grabbing those caps and pulling them off. It's a real easy fix, but if you don't do it, you can have the kind of frustration that I'm having out in the rain. It just never ends. Well, as you can see, we are really having problems with caps sticking to the hammer on this. And if I was going to buy this gun, I've got it for a test and evaluation. If I was going to buy it, that is something I would fix immediately. And it's a pretty easy fix.